Now, you all understand that a white guy talking about this has to be very careful, right? I mean, you understand this. There's a lawsuit which is going to be potentially very damaging to the NFL. What is the lawsuit? Brian Flores was the head football coach of the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores was a very good football coach. In fact, I was shocked when Brian Flores was let go, but he was. Brian Flores has sued the NFL for racism in the hiring practices. And I'm going to go through this a little bit, and you decide for yourself. Let me go this route for you first. If Brian Flores thinks that he was racially discriminated against, then good for him. Really good for him bringing a lawsuit. You know, we're starting to hear it now. White people are saying, well, you know, I couldn't get that job because it was going to an African American. And sometimes that's true. It's happened to me. No, Dan, we can't put you on game day. We got no, Dan, okay, fine. And you know what? People are up front. That happens. Let's make no mistake. Let's make no mistake. It happens to white folk. It happens to black folks. It happens to everybody. That happens. What Flores is saying, though, is internally the structure is inherently racist. And if he feels that, then good for him for bringing it up in a lawsuit. A lot of people say, well, everybody sues. Well, no, look, if you go through it, you have three options basically as a human being that feels they have been wronged. One, you can shut up and take it. Two, you can continue on in it. Now, that's not shutting up and taking it. A lot of people get in a business, shut up, take it, and leave the business. Two, you can go along with it and hope eventually it breaks. Or three, you can do something about it. And Brian Flores has chosen, at great risk to him, by the way, at great risk to him and his professional career, Brian Flores has challenged, has stood up and said, this is what we think, this is what we want. His problem is going to be to prove racism. You know, that's going to be a problem. You know, he says that John Elway and the Joe Ellis, the general manager, showed up for an interview an hour late, thought, now didn't have any proof, thought they looked disheveled, thought they looked like they had been out drinking. That's hard to say that's racism. Because I'll guarantee you, John Elway, if that is in fact the case, and his general manager, that ain't the first time. And it probably isn't only when they've had to show up for meetings with African Americans or people that aren't just white. That ain't racism. You know, if in the hiring practices you feel it, there is a sense that this is just a Rooney Rule token interview, and you don't like that, then you know what? Good for Brian Flores to sue on it. Because I do think this, let's just be honest here. Let's be totally honest. Most people feel that the Rooney Rule is exactly what Brian Flores is alleging. Let's be honest. Well, you know, in the NFL, they've got to interview a few minority candidates to make it look right. I've heard so many people say that. I'm not going to lie to you. There was a time in my life where I paid attention to who, what, when, and where every coach that was being interviewed. And I did it somewhat for this show, but I don't follow it nearly as much as I used to. When you're in the coaching profession, you really follow it. So the only thing that I follow is who are the hot guys. I know there's a tier system in the NFL, and who's going to get the job. If you feel that to be racist, good for you, but you got to go prove it in the court of law. The most damaging part, at least on the surface, the most damaging part is this. The most damaging part is what Stephen Ross alleged to have done to Brian Flores. Now, Stephen Ross, billionaire owner of the Miami Dolphins. The lawsuit alleges that the owner of the Miami Dolphins offered to pay Brian Flores $100,000 per loss. Now, that's not racism. That's just stupid. Like, how do you say, this is the advantage of not white necessarily, of really rich people. Really rich people don't give a shit, right? Really rich people say, hey, look, I'll give you $100,000 a tank here. We want the number 1 draft choice. They think without consequence. Well, of course you're going to end up firing the guy. What do you think the guy's going to do? You think the guy's going to stay silent all his life? You think the guy's not going to say anything? You think the guy eventually, it isn't going to come out in this day and age? That's just stupid. I don't know that that's racist, though. I don't know that that's racist. I don't know how that's racist when you say to somebody, hey, look, you got a tank. Now, subsequent to that, Brian Flores alleges that Stephen Ross painted Brian Flores as difficult to work with. Now, that's going to be interesting to prove. If Brian Flores feels that way, and if he feels, as he alleged in the lawsuit, that he was painted as the traditional, quote, angry black man, well, you're going to have to prove that in court, because in terms of way I look at this, Stephen Ross is a little bit insulated in terms of his own hiring practices. You understand what I'm saying? Like Stephen Ross not only hired Brian Flores, but he also hired his general manager, Chris Greer, who is black. Reggie McKenzie, who is black, senior personnel director. His other guy, got it written down here, Marvin something, I can't read my own writing, who is black. So I'm just looking at this. It's easy to get on ESPN. And this is what you're going to see all freaking day. I'm seeing it right now with Jeff Flores. He's impassioned. Everybody's just going to say, hey, the NFL is inherently racist. 70% of the players are black. 1 black coach. No black owners. Look, that may be. We're going to find out, because it looks like this lawsuit is pretty serious from Flores' side. All the skeletons may be coming out here. But you just can't get on TV and declare that everybody is racist because a lawsuit comes out and says everybody's racist, and that's exactly what you're going to see today. I've got ESPN on a big screen right here, and all you're going to see is everybody posturing. Everybody. That's why you come to Outkick. That's why you come here, because I'm explaining it to you. I'm glad Brian Flores did this. If he feels like the practices are bad, if he feels like he has been discriminated against. I'm glad for him. But the truth of the matter is, you're going to have to prove it. You're going to have to prove that he was discriminated against. And I'm not sure John Elway. Now, he may have been. Let me go to Belichick. Belichick already knew that Brian Daboll had been hired by the New York Giants. Belichick already knew and sent a text to the wrong Brian. You can see him for yourself. Hey, you're their guy, blah, 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 blah. But you're going to have to prove that that's racist. Now, you can say that that may be in violation of the Rooney Rule. You can say that Brian Flores, who was supposed to, 3 days later, was supposed to go interview with the Giants, was being used in conjunction with the Rooney Rule. But is that racist? It seems ridiculous. It seems like a complete waste of everybody's time, mostly Brian Flores's, and second, the Giants. But it looks to me like the wink, wink, nod, nod of the Rooney Rule that it seems to me that people have been saying for years and years and years is now finally getting exposed. Now, I don't know if that's racist. I don't know. Is that a labor violation? I don't know, but I'm glad Brian Flores did this.